Hey, horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of Faking a Murderer. That's murderer. Gotta get the extra ER in there. Cast and crew information down below. And let's see what this IMDb plot has to say to start off. In search of their next hit series, two filmmakers embark on an investigation to find a man they believe to be a serial killer. Are they in over their heads? Hell yeah. Alright. As far as where I found this one, credit to that goes to my podcast partner who brought it to the podcast. We recently interviewed the two main stars, writers, directors, basically everything behind this film. Um, and so that's how I got to see the screening for it. So I probably, you know, I don't know if I would have missed this one otherwise. I don't know, but I'm certainly glad I got to see it, as we'll discuss here in a second. Um, so let's see. To start here, IMDb lists this as crime. It obviously has that involved. Obviously, a big part of it. Fill you in a couple of things kind of mentioned in the podcast, and if I remember, I will include a link. So if you're interested, you can find an interview with Adam and Stuart, who brought this film to life. So yeah, it's listed as crime, and that's obviously where it starts. But to me, it was a comedy. When you call it a crime comedy, a horror comedy. Um, I think the horror part, and I'll mention in a little bit, you have to wait till much later in the film to get to the horror part of it. Um, but basically, we have here two filmmakers, as I mentioned. I guess stumble upon a video of a guy who proclaims to have may have killed this woman, may have killed some animals, may have done some other bad stuff. Looks like an overall bad dude, and they decide, hey, we're gonna find this guy. He's gonna be our serial killer, and we're going to be like a lot of the crime podcasts out there and so forth, um, who kind of look into a case, look into investigation, maybe go do some searching of their own, and they're going to document this all, and they're going to, you know, do all kinds of crazy things in order to find this guy, and basically, they're going to have a crew following them as kind of putting on this film. So it's this movie is kind of almost like a found footage kind, but it's just them being filmed for this movie, and they're gonna have some surprises here and there, but overall, just a hilarious take. Um, it starts, you kind of get introduced to them, get introduced to their families. I will mention as something that they mentioned on the podcast is a lot of it is improv. A lot of it they want it to be natural and so forth. While the two of them kind of knew what they wanted and knew, as they said, what direction they wanted to go. They didn't always go in that direction. There are some other actors in it. One of the guys from Anything from Jackson, he plays a part in it later on. Um, there are a couple actors in it, but most of it obviously starts with the two of them, and there's some very natural parts where they're being filmed with people who don't know they're being filmed really for this movie. And I guess one of the starting points is their families. So we get a kind of introduction to both Adam and Stuart. You get an introduction to their families, how they met, how they became friends, and kind of what their family thinks of them doing this. Um, so as they say, they tried to lead the people that didn't know it in certain directions, but other times they had to just go with whatever direction whoever they were talking to went. So if you really like this film, I would definitely say check out our interview with them, where the scary things are. episode 101, I believe. And I'll try to put a link there. But interesting, how they how they talked about, um, kind of getting people on how certain scenes were supposed to be one way, but because of the people's reactions, they ended up another way. Especially some stuff that happened later in the film. I don't want to go away any into that. This is a new movie, so I'm trying to be spoiler free as possible as usual. Anyway, so yeah, you get a kind of introduction to their family and so forth. Then, very interestingly enough, they kind of go through the whole not casting process, trying to get a film distributor with them, which happens to be at their actual own company. But they kind of go through that as well as trying to find someone who will back the film, give money for the film. They even end up at a film festival, and apparently, all of this is improv. All of it is not live. Um, it's not something they shot over and over. Um, so you go through all that craziness. They try to hire a private investigator to help them out in this investigation because, they're the filmmakers, and that's the way they play it here. They're not investigators. When it comes to that kind of stuff, they play it um, very cluelessly. So, they try to hire one guy, he's really expensive, that doesn't turn out. Then they hire some other guy who's a little bit shady. This guy is hilarious in the movie. He's just an absolute great addition to what's going on here. He's very mean to them. He always, he kind of knows they're going to screw it up, and he's kind of always yelling at them. Um, he kind of tips them off to where the film goes later on, and basically tells them not to do it, but of course knows that they're going to do it. So that's fun stuff as well. Um, so yeah, they're just the back and forth between the two, their two personalities. Adam is you know the one spending the money here. He's trying to buy all these things for the shoot, and running out of money as as the filming goes on. Is having family troubles because of that. Then Stuart is kind of got his own unique ways, and he is peculiar in doing things his way in certain scenes. And just the two of them together are just fabulous. They worked so well off of each other. It was just so funny the entire time. Like, if anything, I would have just named this a comedy. I mean, they were just hilarious. But of course, it is. So you see them on their film adventure and going and crazy stuff. There's a crazy scene. One of my favorite scenes, as far as it being funny, is in the hotel room. Just crazy stuff happening there. I don't want to spoil that. And then you get to what it is. It is crime. It is them and their search for the serial killer. I don't want to give that away. I don't want to give away what happens in the end of the movie to the back half. I will say, if you're looking for the horror in it, this is not a huge movie on horror, but if there's any element of that in it, it is towards the end. And some other good stuff happens there as well. It picks up a little bit action-wise and so forth. Let's just say the guys start to get their hands dirty a little bit in their investigation. But still, and still, even without that, is some still funny moments there. I will say, if you do watch the film, as the credits roll, there's a little bit of bonus footage going on here. Watch that as well. That is hilarious. Just icing on the cake. There's something, if you might catch it at the beginning. If you don't, you're gonna be, and I had just freshly turned it on, so I didn't catch it at the beginning. I should have known better. But definitely as this goes on, you see the guys. You're seeing them being filmed, but then every once in a while, it kind of goes back to them, and you see them to kind of commenting on where they are in the filming process, or answering a question and so forth. And it's hilarious to see what you might have missed if you weren't paying attention there at the beginning and caught their intros, to see what I'm trying to be as spoiler free as possible, just to see them at the end of the movie where this ultimately goes. Um, just icing on the cake. It was just hilarious. Um, what else to say about this one? I think, as they mentioned on the podcast, they like, um, the crime and the crime podcast and that kind of element. And I think if you're someone who likes that, maybe watches the Datelines of 2020s where they do these kind of investigations, but you want to see it with a comedy twist here, and basically see it done wrong. This is it. The guy who plays the serial killer, he's great as well in his role. I'm not going to say too much about him, other than he was great as well. Just everybody who's in this film is just awesome. Plays a major role in this film is just awesome. But yeah, I'm glad we got to cover it. I'm glad we got to talk to them. I can definitely have more appreciation for it, knowing the improv they did, because when you watch the film, you might not know it, or it just adds to the laughter of it, to the fun, time they must have had while filming this. I'm surprised they could contain themselves. Um, but yeah, that's it. I know this is not a big horror review. Um, More of a comedy, if anything. But it is still falls under the umbrella of crime. So, um, anyway, this one will be out soon. So I encourage you all, if you're looking for something a little bit different, something to laugh at, and definitely if you're kind of into the crime thing, you might enjoy it from the comedy angle and even the filmmaking angle too. They are, you know, going through the filmmaking process as they make this. So if you want to kind of laugh at that as well, that's something else that you can throw in there. So with that, I'm going to give this one 4 pools of blood. I just, that's out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. Really a fun movie. Lots to laugh at. You know, maybe not big on the horror angle, but just as a movie overall, 4 pools of blood. So with that, horrorgory.blogspot.com is where you can find more of these reviews. Definitely written reviews. If you're just looking for the video reviews, just subscribe to the channel, easiest way. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. If you want to talk about this movie, other movies, you want me to review something, crazy festival time going on now, but let's see if I can squeeze it in there, trying to the best I can. Yeah, in the comment section, if you've seen this movie or you want to know more information or so forth, or if you find I didn't put that link to the podcast in there, you can mention it there, and I'll hopefully give it the program. So with that, I guess it's on to the next review. I won't be faking it, and I'll catch you later, horror fans.